Has it become too expensive to be a fan of the WWE? Now, I'm going to go a little more in depth about professional wrestling in general. It is going to be a little more specific towards the WWE, but has it become too expensive to be a fan of professional wrestling? Now, before we get into the video, if you guys enjoy professional wrestling content, especially WWE content, you're going to love this channel. So make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. And now let's talk about why I think it's become a little too expensive to become or just be a fan of the WWE. So let's talk about the prerequisites just watching WWE. So this one's going to be a little controversial, but many people would like to argue that it's actually cheaper to watch the WWE nowadays compared to back in the day when you had to pay for every single pay-per-view because it wasn't a PLE and it was anywhere from, 20, 30, 40, 60 bucks. Now I'm going to be a little bit of WWE in the US centric on this one because I know I do have a lot of people around the world and I know a lot of you guys can watch on different networks and stuff like that. But to watch Monday Night Raw, you need to have the USA Network. To watch NXT, you need to have CW. And to watch SmackDown, you need Fox. Now, I have Verizon Fios, and for me to have that, I need to have one of their highest packages to have every single one of those channels. And you guys know the price of cable nowadays is significantly higher than it was back in the day. I remember when I was younger, we had this like little black box. I don't know if I'm outing myself and getting in trouble for this, but we had that little black box and you could basically watch anything on it. You could watch all of it as long as it was plugged into like the antenna that was in the apartment building. Nowadays, I have to have some like Verizon Fios, triple play, super duper package so I can have the USA Network, Fox, CW, all these other channels so I can watch everything that I want to watch. And that alone, according to my father, was more expensive than him buying every single monthly pay-per-view and having the channels that we needed to watch when it was on Spike, when it was on USA, when it was on Sci-Fi, when it was on, was it Universal? I forget all the different channels we were on at some point or another for the shows. CW11. But the one thing that is definitely cheaper is watching pay-per-views. Obviously, having just Peacock Premium, which I think I pay 20 bucks a month for. I get to watch, Raw Talk. I get to watch the PLEs, and I can watch NXT Level Up. But it doesn't exclude the fact that you need all three of those channels plus Peacock if you want to get the full WWE experience. Now let's talk about going to shows themselves. I'm going to give a little bit of my personal experience. And I do live in a very expensive city. I do live in New York. I'm personally from Long Island, New York. We do have shows at the UBS Arena. We have shows at the Nassau Coliseum. We have shows at the Barclays and Madison Square Garden, as well as the Westchester County Center in White Plains. Now, I've been to shows at every single one of those venues in the past 4 years. Well, 3 years, because obviously we know COVID. Now, we know about inflation. We know about the fact that things cost more money nowadays. But I feel like WWE has inflated the price of their tickets dramatically. And I'm going to give you a couple examples. I did a little bit of research on this. And just to reference, obviously WrestleMania 18 is one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. We will agree. It did happen over 22 years ago. But I saw listings for ringside ticket at $365. Just to compare that, I sat at Raw before WrestleMania this year, 2 rows behind Pat McAfee, and the tickets were over $1,000. WrestleMania this past year, for those same ringside tickets, can run you nearly $10,000. Now, again, this is obviously a one-off. This is back at the Rogers Center. It is in Canada. And I'm sure this person was just trying to get their hands off this ticket. So let's deep dive into the other shows. I went to a house show recently in White Plains. The capacity of that show is 6,000 people. I did sit on the floor. I was in the 9th row. The tickets for that were $220. Just to get into the venue, it was nearly $100. Now, to compare, if you went to a show in Albany for Monday Night Raw, you can get in for about 50 bucks. But that same exact ticket, not even 5 years ago, was half the price. WrestleMania tickets, not just to get in, because if you've ever seen a WrestleMania stage, if you sit in the 200 sections, you are not enjoying the show. Most of those are obstructed views. You're going to be watching on the Jumbotron. But seats where you can sit and actually watch and be entertained, they are up nearly 200%. Now, many people argue wrestling is just so much bigger. Wrestling is so much more entertaining. Wrestling stars are just that much bigger. The price goes up. But that brings us back to the main argument of the video. Are wrestling fans being priced out of being a wrestling fan? I mean, if you've ever been to a wrestling show, we're not talking about guys that have corporate suits on walking around at this show. We're talking about the average, American person, a person that has a normal job, not making billions of dollars to be able to afford something that is a passion and hobby of theirs. I am very fortunate that I was able to be sponsored for every one of these shows that I went to, but I went to Madison Square Garden for a house show when CM Punk came back, and I sat in the 14th row, and that seat alone was about $1,000. Just for me to get to the show, just for me to get drinks and food alone was almost 120 bucks. Then including the $1,000 seat it was about a $1,200 experience for me to go to a house show. Now, many will argue, obviously, you don't need to sit down there. You don't need to be in the 12th row if you can't afford it. But my dad reminded me when we went to, I always mess this up. I forget if it's SummerSlam or Survivor Series back in the day at Madison Square Garden. We sat in the 4th row to watch Brock Lesnar and Big Show, where Paul Heyman turned on Brock Lesnar for Big Show. We sat there with my 4 cousins for hundreds of dollars for all the tickets. Not thousands, but hundreds of dollars. And my parents have normal jobs. They're both immigrants. They were able to afford something like that to, bring me and my cousins because it's something that we were super passionate about. If my dad at that time was told that if you guys wanted to have a good seat and enjoy the show from a nice view, you're going to be spending almost $1,000 on each seat, that would be nearly what my dad was making an entire month. Now, that's obviously an argument that many people have. If you can't afford it, don't do it. I understand that. I'm just trying to, give the numbers out there so you guys understand just how expensive it is to go to these shows nowadays, because a lot of people have this perception of what it was 10, 20 years ago where, it didn't cost an arm and a leg just to be able to go to a Raw or SmackDown. Now, it is cheaper in a lot of other states where, obviously, compared to mine, I live in New York. It's one of the most expensive states in the world. But, New York, your average salary is significantly higher than a lot of other states. When it comes to Europe, I think it's nearly impossible to afford these shows. I've seen some of the ticket prices when it came to Clash at the Castle. I've seen some of the ticket prices when they went to Australia. I give you guys props if you went to those shows. Some of those prices, I was like, oh my God. If I had to pay this, I just don't know what I would do. Now we go into the merchandise side of the business. I remember when you could literally go on WWE Shop and get a t-shirt, tank top, whatever for like 20 bucks. Nowadays, if a new piece of merch comes out, you're lucky if it's under $35. The new Wyatt 6 merch just came out the other day. It's 33 bucks. Then you pay tax, then you pay shipping on it. And it's nearly 45, 50 bucks just for a t-shirt. Let's not talk about the fact that the belts are anywhere from $500 to $1,000. Then you got to get the little side plates on them, which were nearly $100. It's starting to become, honestly, like a novelty. You got to be on the richer scale to just represent the fact that you're a WWE fan. I remember when I was younger, all my friends, nearly everyone had an Austin 316 shirt, or they had a Rock Brahma Bull shirt, or they had like an NWO shirt. I remember walking through, elementary school and middle school. Like, it was cool. It was awesome. And listen, my parents did not have a lot of money growing up, and they had no problem getting that stuff for me. And I remember when they would have to order it by calling online. Like, they would call the number for the merch to order the shirts. Maybe I might just be delusional and I'm off base. Maybe I'm out of touch of reality, but I just feel like nowadays it is becoming significantly harder to, just be a fan when it comes to the monetary aspect of it. And the thing that sucks the most is when Triple H rubs it in every single time there's a PLE and he goes, this was the largest gate ever. But the thing is, you look at it and it'll be arenas that have the same capacity. But if it's a larger gate, you guys know what that means. That means the ticket prices are higher. That means people are paying more money just to get into the venue. And I don't know. I feel like it's weird for something that I feel like, gonna reference Dusty Rhodes here, like, wrestling is for the average fan. Wrestling is for, the hardworking people, the blue collar people, the the people that aren't millionaires and billionaires wearing suits and all day every day. It's for your average American. It's for your average person that just loves entertainment. And I feel like the whole bragging about the fact that the gates are higher, I don't know, sometimes it rubs me the wrong way. I love when they talk about the fact that there's more sponsors, because that means there's more fans. That means there's more people that are interested in the product. But to brag about the fact that you're making more money off the fans, I don't know, to me has always felt weird. Like Dana White does it all the time with the UFC, but for the longest time, the UFC was, you know, banned everywhere. Everyone looked at it as human cockfighting. For them, it's awesome the fact that people are willing to pay that type of money. But for WWE, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm off base. I could be. That's where I want to know from you guys. Like, am I off base on this? Does anyone else feel like it's becoming pretty hard to go to a show, becoming harder to buy merch? You know, paying $1,000 just for the before you go and watch the show, you can pay $1,000 to get autograph signings. I remember before we went to a couple shows when they would be in New York or Long Island, a lot of the stars would go to like smaller signings, and it would be like $25 to get an autograph. It would be like $20 to take a picture and stuff like that. And like, that's awesome. Nowadays, you're paying $1,000 just to say hi to these people and get like one thing signed. It's just like, I don't know, wrestling is just, it's becoming super expensive. Am I still going to pay for it? Yes, I'm a freak. I love wrestling. I'm going to go to every single show that I can on New York. But I also am very lucky that I have the opportunity to have some people sponsor me to go to it. I am very lucky that some of you guys hook me up with the opportunities to go. And when you guys send me stuff to my P.O. box, like this shirt was sent to my P.O. box. A lot of the merch that I have, you guys hooked me up with it. If I had to spend up all my money on that, I don't think I'd have as much of it. But with that being said, I want to know from you guys, have you found it a little bit harder to be a wrestling fan when it comes to the monetary aspect of it? Are you excited that we're moving to Netflix, where you're going to have one payment for USA and all the PLEs and stuff like that, so you're getting a show plus the PLEs? And are you guys excited to, you know, maybe hit another event in the future, and hopefully it's not going to be as expensive, and hopefully Triple H sees this video and tries to lower the prices a little bit. But with that being said, I want to say I appreciate you guys making it to the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.